Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, this is the greatest time of the day. From the center of the universe, New York City, it's the main event you've been waiting for. It's time to go in the cage with Cyclone.
And I'm back. Yes, I'm back. No, it's not Monday. No, it's not early in the day. It's Tuesday. I am now going to call myself the Tuesday Titan because I'm that good with coming up with nicknames that fast. So the Cyclone is the Tuesday Titan. Well, the every other Tuesday Titan. And it's Tuesday, October 24th, 2017. I had to think about what day it is because all my days get discombobulated these days when old age sets in. It's raining here in New York. And not only is it raining, it's raining upside down, which really pisses me off because it makes umbrellas just useless. No need for umbrella Ellas when it rains upside down, down, down. Now let's get to all the fun stuff. We're going to be talking Bellator 185, Fight Night Gdansk, and we got a bunch of fun little segments too, as we always do on the show. I want to remind everybody, hit me up on Twitter, please. CYCIE19. Go to Facebook. Type in the Cage with Cyclone. Click like. Type in The Cyclone Variety Show. Click like. Follow along, and you guys are then eligible to win really cool prizes from my really cool raffles. Because I'm so awesome and I'm such a giving person, you know? Despite what others say about me, I really am. Check out CycloneComedy.com, where you hear and can see all my goodies. Check out everything I write on BoneheadPicks.com, as always, as usual. And we're going to get this whole big shing-ding started on our brand new day and time right after this.
This is Frank Edgar.
This is the Barbarian Tim Bosch.
I'm World Series of Fighting undefeated lightweight champion Justin Gaethje.
MMA legend, UFC Hall of Famer, Iceman. Check it out. And if you got the guts, step in the cage with Cyclone.
Okay, B. Let's kick this shing-ding off with Bellator 185, huh? Now, the word has come down that Alexander Shlemenko is now appealing his loss to Gegard Mousasi. Now look, should he have that right to appeal? Yeah, sure. Why not? Let anyone appeal anything they want. Okay? People who are Democrats are still trying to appeal the freaking election. Why not let Shlemenko appeal his unanimous decision loss? Here's the breakdown of that fight. If you guys still haven't watched it, if you're still just coming up from a rock, round 3, Shlemenko won hands down. Okay? Round 1, despite Shlemenko breaking Gegard Mousasi's orbital bone, okay, Gegard won that first round. So what it comes down to is that second round. Who won that second round? And that's the way, the fight goes. And honestly, the first time I watched it, I had it for Shlemenko. I really honestly did. And I watched it back a second time. I watched it a third time. And I got to admit, I've changed my stance. I think Gegard actually wound up winning the fight. And I'm going to get into a little bit later, all the pressure fighters, coming over, get into. But him winning is huge. Okay, it's huge for him. It's huge for the company. Neiman Gracie continue to do what a Gracie does. And you got to admit, Damian Maia is sort of like that in the UFC. You know what's coming, and you usually can't stop it, unless your name, of course, is Tyron Woodley. But Neiman is taking on someone who is a short notice opponent in Zach Buccia, who is making his Bellator debut. And congrats to Neiman for going and doing what he needed to do to stay undefeated. And it's really, really impressive that he is now the Gracie that is carrying the torch. You know, it's not Royce anymore, really, unless you have one of those weak-ass Legends matches. You know, it's really good. And obviously I'm going to have to bring up my girl, Heather Hardy. I feel bad. I really, really, really feel bad for my girl. There is no other way to go about saying this except she got lit up. And look, here's the deal. Every single fighter, I don't care if you fight in a boxing ring, in a wrestling ring, in a cage, in an octagon, on a parcheesi board, playing checkers, everyone has one of those bad days. And I fully believe that this was Heather's. I don't know why her coaches didn't know what was coming from Christina Williams, but Heather drops to 1-1. And honestly, in her first fight at the Garden, the doctor almost stopped it too. So now she's 2 fights into an MMA career, and doctors are involved. And that's not necessarily a good thing. She kept ducking to the outside, usually to the right, which is where Christina was giving the head kicks to. And Heather's tweeted out recently a couple of times, you know, one of the tweets that she retweeted was, and it's really funny, is that even though she got lit up, at least her defense is still better than the New York Giants defense, which, being a New York Giant hater, I find absolutely hilarious. You know, but here's to Heather Hardy coming back stronger and better next time. And once again, I always bring up every single card. I don't care if it's UFC, Bellator, Invicta, or some indie company. These issues with weight cutting. And once again, we saw it at Bellator 185, which, by the way, lost a couple of fights. But Jordan Young, once again, missed weight. And this guy, look, he is possibly a phenom. This kid is the real deal. I fully believe it. He's now 8-0. But he's going to have to go up a division or two. Possibly the 205 light heavyweight division. He beat Alex Hubin by first round submission in a catchweight fight because he missed weight again. And look, you can't let these guys keep missing weight. And I don't know when I'm going to stop saying it, if I'm ever going to stop saying it, but it has to be said. Guys need to stop with this weight cutting poop, because I'm not going to say the S word unless it's snow, and I don't even want to say the word snow either. Anna Julatan was brought in from One Championship to make her Bellator debut. And there was going to be a big, hype that she could possibly take on Heather Hardy as two fighters on win streaks. And now they're both on losing streaks. So there could be still a good connection. Anna would be a really good matchup for her, but she's tough. She's really, really tough. And I think Heather's team needs to go back to the drawing board. But it's a fight that can and possibly should be her next fight. And I think what we should do is head over really quick to UFC Fight Night Gdansk, Poland. Big props to all the Polish fighters. Wow, they all came out guns a-blazing. What Darren Till did to Cowboy Cerrone was incredible. And it is a whole big thing now. Is he real? Is he hype? Is he part of the next wave of fighter, Darren Till? And here's the deal. Cowboy looked off, all right? Cowboy admittedly didn't know anything about Darren Till going into the fight. He didn't watch tape going into the fight. And you can't do that. How the guys at Jackson Wink allowed that is irresponsible. Plain and simple. Okay? You can't let your fighter go into a fight unprepared. Okay? You just can't. That's like sacrilege, blasphemy. Big props to Karolina Kowalkiewicz beating Jody Escobar. And then she managed to do two things. Now, she's usually the overly quiet type, and when they asked her how it felt to win at home, she said, she looked down, she smiled all shyly and said, "It feels effing awesome," which got everybody in the press to crack up laughing. But she called out Jessica Andrade, and here's the thing. I think Andrade is still too tough. I think Andrade is just one of those forward-moving pit bulls that would take her out. I really, really do. And the other thing as far as Gdansk, Poland goes, and this really bothers me, they lost a fight between Anthony Hamilton and Adam Łuskowiec, and I know I just butchered his name, but they were at the weigh-ins, the customary weigh-ins, in front of the public, and the fans of the team opposite that's rivaled of the team that Adam likes were there, and they were chanting and they were being rowdy, and they were almost at riot form, and the security there set up barricades. Everybody had to show ID as they left the building. So for the safety of the fighters, the UFC decided to push the fight back and move it to Fight Night 121 in Sydney, Australia in the middle of November. And you can't... I'm dumbfounded how a rowdy group of quote-unquote fans, of arrogant idiots is a better term for them, can force a company to take a fight off the card. I don't see how that's possible. I really don't. You just up security. That's all you have to do. Okay, moving the fight, I just don't. I don't comprehend it. And I'm going to touch really fast on this Artem Lovabov, Andre Touchy-Feely sort of deal. Okay? For those of you who think Artem doesn't belong in the UFC or in MMA, you really don't know anything. You really don't. Artem's a good fighter. Is he one of the best? No. No one's ever claimed, except maybe Artem, that he was. Okay? The fact of the matter remains that, yes, he is there because he is a teammate and he is a partner of Conor McGregor. But it doesn't, I mean, the guy still has to go into the cage and perform. And, yeah, he's now under 500 for his career. He's lost, I believe, 2 in a row. And he's legitimately concerned that it could cost him his career. And look, I know Artem's probably not listening, but the fact is, guys have a lot longer than 2 fight losing streaks, and they're still running in the company. So I don't think Artem is going to go anywhere, you know. And this whole big triangle now with Touchy-Feely and Artem and Conor, and I'm going to get into that a little bit later too, you know. But those are the recaps from the 2 bigger cards this past weekend. Now look, let's talk about the UFC fighters that have gone to Bellator, right? Yes. In theory, the guys are bigger, are better, and are better in the UFC. But at the top level in Bellator, those guys, there's some killers there too. Okay, it's not like they're walking into, little, like bunch of preschoolers. You know, they're not a bunch of white belts in MMA. Okay, these guys know what they're doing. And to think otherwise is quite foolish. Is there pressure on these guys? Absolutely. Because not only do they have to prove to Scott Coker that they're worthy of the money that they are now getting, but they have to prove, and they probably are, trying to prove Dana White and WME IMG wrong for letting them go. So they have the weight of the freaking world on them. You know, so the nerves, and they could say that they aren't, that they're calm. The fact of the matter is, it's not true. They are all nervous bundles. And yesterday, Mousasi actually admitted he was more nervous than he thought he would be. You know? So you have to understand that with those nerves come being tentative. And if you're tentative, you're going to be backpedaling. And if you're backpedaling, you're not moving forward. So it's like a giant snowball going down the hill. You know, you can't stop it once it starts. You know, and that's why the majority of the guys have not started off well, but eventually, once they get their feet wet in Bellator and they're calm, they're relaxed, the cream rises to the crop. Guys like Rory McDonald, guys like Lorenz Larkin, guys like Igor Mousasi, even someone like Roy Nelson, they're top-line fighters, and they will be champions or rattle the champions' cages in Bellator. Let's get into this whole big Conor, Mike Perry, Touchy-Feely, Artem Lobov, hexagon, triangle sort of deal. Look, Conor McGregor sits cage side for Artem's fight. And he gets up and he's walking around cage side and he's screaming out instructions to Artem. And then Mark Goddard actually at one point stops the fight between Touchy-Feely and Lobov and warns Conor that he needs to go back to his seat. Now, look, you can't get something like this in baseball or in football or in hockey, but you do in basketball. You have something like that at the Garden with Spike Lee. Never in you know, at a Knick game does a referee go over to Spike Lee and say, "Hey, Spike, sit down, or you're gonna cost the Knicks points, okay? Or you're gonna forfeit the game for the Knicks if you don't sit down." I get that you can't have 4 cornermen, and I can understand where Mark Goddard is coming from. That, you know, you can't allow a guy to be screaming stuff. And even Goddard said if he was screaming stuff from his seat, he would have let it go. But I don't know if you can really stop him from walking around. You know, it's not like he did so. It's not like it's in the rule books that someone can't walk around. Yeah, you can't have a 4th cornerman. That's in a rule book. But he was in a corner. He was walking around the cage. And it's a fine line. And I get it, people like when Conor gets heat. But I don't know if this was the right spot for him. And then on the complete opposite end, you have, after the Darren Till Cowboy Cerrone fight, you got Mike Perry jumping up on the apron as Perry and Till were joining at each other. And no one told Perry to get his butt off the apron. Now, Conor wasn't on the apron. Now, true, Perry wasn't screaming out, you know, instructions to Cowboy. But if someone's not allowed to walk around outside, around cage side, then someone that's not fighting definitely does not, unless they are accompanied by the owner of the company, either like a Dana White or Scott Coker or Shannon in Invicta, unless they're brought into the cage to challenge somebody, they shouldn't be allowed to be on the cage apron. That shouldn't be allowed. And instantly, as a matter of fact, security came to pull Perry off. You know? Now, speaking of Darren Till, there's been a lot of stuff. Is Darren Till part of the next wave? Now, look, here's the thing. There was the Randy Couture's and the Chuck Liddells of the world. Then there were the Ronda Rouseys of the world. Then Conor came into existence. And in all sports, I don't care if it's baseball, MMA, football, boxing, parcheesi, badminton, golf, any sport, anything even in music, in stand-up, on television, there's always the next wave of entertainers. In movies, too, there's always the next wave of young talent coming through. There's never one talent that's bigger than the company. A company in entertainment is a moving, living, breathing part. And no one person is ever going to be bigger than the company. Now, at times, they might be equal to, like Roger Maris in 1961, for example, or Jackie Robinson when he broke the color barrier. There can be times when an athlete or an entertainer or somebody like that is equal because he's such a big story, like Maguire Sosa was at one point. There, you guys can be equal to, but you're not bigger than. Okay? Because the sport, the entertainment, the company's always moving forward. And without the John Joneses in the world, and frankly, I don't think GSP coming back is going to bring as big of a tidal wave of support as some people think he's going to bring. The fact of the matter is, the UFC in particular needs the next wave because they don't have Ronda anymore. Conor is still Conor, and he'll always be a draw, but you could see maybe possibly the beginning of the end for him as far as the UFC is concerned. So you need the company needs the next wave. And that's where the guys like Francis Ngannou, Darren Till, who sounds an awfully lot like Conor McGregor, frankly, come into account. They need like 7 or 8 guys that they put a real big push behind. You throw a bunch of spaghetti against the wall, and you see what sticks. You as a company push maybe 7, 8 fighters really, really hard, and maybe 3 of them or 4 of them possibly become the superstar, that next big wave that you're looking for. Okay? And speaking of Conor and things going on, I would be miss pity patty paddywhack, give a dog a bone. I'd be messed up if I didn't pre-chat right now UFC 217. And let me tell you something. It is going to be beyond hype here in just a week away? A little bit more than a week away? Where I will be running around just a couple of blocks away from this spot I'm in right now. All week long, I'll be getting some insights with a couple of fighters. I'll be talking to them. I'll be playing you afterwards everything that they say. But it should be really, really good. Now, I'm not going to go into my predictions now because obviously, if you go to In the Cage with Cyclone on Facebook, you will there see all my predictions, and then you can comment your predictions, and if you have the best record at the end of the night, you're going to win a very, very, very awesome prize. One that I guarantee you will like. Now, I want to remind everyone, right here, BWRN, Broadway Radio Networks, on Spreaker. Keep listening, because you will hear the Sportsbook Box Office Podcast with Jeffrey Paul and Kevin Gootee. You'll hear Boxing Talk with Q&A, Quentin Heggs and Andre Kim Jr. And I don't know, that name, Boxing Talk with Q&A, just between you and me, it could use a little bit of work, and far be it for me to poke somebody else's show, but it can use a little work. You guys need to be reminded to hit me up on Twitter and follow me, CYCIE19. Check me on Facebook, In the Cage with Cyclone. Click like. I've said it 100 times. I'll say it 100 more. Please do so. And also, the Cyclone Variety Show on Facebook. Click like. Go to CycloneComedy.com. I have so many wonderful gifts you can buy. I have t-shirts, I have hats, I have mugs, I have keychains, I have pens. You name it, I got it. You know, the holidays are coming up, and nothing says loving more than a gift of Cyclone. Check out everything I write on boneheadpics.com. Now, when we come back, we're going to talk about the upcoming schedules. The upcoming schedules. We have some fun segments we're going to do. All right after this quick word.
Hi, I'm Jim Miller.
This is Dan Murgliata.
I'm Derek Mercy.
I'm Nick the Carney Lentz, and you're locked into the cage with Cyclone.
Okay, B. Guess who's back? It's me. Who else were you expecting? Bugs Bunny? Okay, so let's chat about the upcoming schedules. Okay, later this week, there's an indie card, CES MMA 46 from Rhode Island. Now, the main event is John Howard against Roger Carroll. But the big, huge story about that card is Johnny Adams taking on John Gotti III. Yes, the one and only John Gotti deterred. John Jr.'s son makes his pro debut in MMA. And let me tell you, if you haven't seen him, by the way, he's like 5-1 as an amateur. So this kid knows how to fight. And I'm not saying because he put the mafia connection, but he does know how to handle himself. Here's the thing. He has his grandfather's eyes. If you look at John III's eyes, you can see John Gotti. You definitely can. But he is jacked beyond belief. This kid is ripped. Okay? So, I just hope that there will never in his career, knock wood, any possible connection to anything funky going on. We don't need none of that. Okay? I wish him well. I would love to see how far this guy can go. And he got into MMA apparently because when John Jr. got out of prison, he wanted to spend time, obviously, with his son. So they bonded over boxing and MMA cards in Jersey. And that's how he got his start. And that's a good story. But moving along on the 28th, you have Cage Warriors 88, where not one, but two titles are up for grabs. The middleweight title's up for grab. Lee Chadwick and Victor Cheng. And then the lightweight title, where Chris Fishgold, who, by the way, speaking of the old guy over there, kind of is like a Connor carbon copy. You know, there's actually a lot of guys at Cage Warriors that are Connor carbon copies. It's a tongue twister. I want you to say that 10 times fast. Connor carbon copies. And he takes on Alexander Jacobson. Then, as that's going on, UFC Fight Night 119 in Sao Paulo, Brazil. And that's Derek Brunson against the returning Machida. The Dragon is coming back. And honestly, I think Lyoto Machida is going to have some serious ring rust on him. Damian Maia returns to the cage against Colby Covington. And Colby has let it be known that once he takes out Damian, he wants Tyron Woodley, as they were former teammates at to use my Joanna Jędrzejczyk voice, in ATT. So I don't think Colby, even if he was to beat Damian, I don't think he wants any part of Tyron. I really don't. I think Tyron's wrestling is just too powerful for him. I really do. And then, Hands of Stone, John Lineker against Marlon Vera. That's on that card. And I'm looking forward to that fight. I really honestly am. November 2nd, which is a third. You see, here's the deal. You can't really do a Friday booking of a card because that's basically Bellator night. You really don't want to compete against a UFC card night, and quite frankly, from now till Christmas, till New Year's, it's basically every Saturday's a UFC card. So you want to stay away from doubling up. A Thursday night PFL card, that's what you call a decent booking. Now, Thursdays might be hard for some people to get involved in MMA, but it stays clear of all the other companies, you know. And then the next day, Friday the 3rd, One Championship 63, followed by, obviously, Saturday, November 4th, UFC 217 at Madison Square Garden, the 8th wonder of the world in beautiful New York City. But there's, like I just said about bookings, let me show you the perfect example of a bad booking. It's a bad, lousy booking if you book a card against UFC 217 and you do it less than 15 miles away from Madison Square Garden. At the Barclays Center, November 4th, Saturday night, Deontay Wilder is putting up his heavyweight championship against Bermane Sterveen. That is a bad booking. Now, yeah, I get it. Most boxing fans aren't MMA fans, but you don't want to book any type of card at the Barclays Center in Brooklyn like that. Now, it would be different if the Islanders were playing at home or the Nets were playing at home. That would be different. You don't want to have a boxing card compete against UFC cards in the same city, in just one borough apart, less than 15 miles away. That is asinine. I don't know what Showtime is thinking. I don't know what Lou DiBella Productions is thinking. But that, like I said, is a bad, bad booking. And I just don't understand it. I really don't get it. I really don't. Now, as far as UFC 217 is concerned, obviously we have the three big title fights. Bisping GSP. Okay, we got Joanna against Rose Namajunas. You got Cody against TJ Dillashaw, And that fourth fight on the main card ain't too shabby either, with Jorge Masvidal against Wonderboy Thompson. That's not a bad fight. It's really not. I would like to say, as far as 217 is concerned, I am upset that I will not be seeing my guy Patrick Cummings. And look, he was supposed to fight Corey Anderson. He has a massive staph infection. He took himself off the card. Corey got pissed. Corey got upset about it. saying just take your meds. You could come back within a couple of weeks from it. I think, honestly, Patrick is playing it conservative. And conservative sometimes is better. Now, replacing Patrick is OSP. And for Corey's sake, and Corey's a New York, New Jersey guy, the fact of the matter is, Corey, I'm going to say this really clear because I know friends of yours might send you a copy of this. Listen to me clearly, Corey Anderson. Stay clear and look out for that Von Fluke choke. Okay? Can't make it any clearer than I just did. You guys want to do a dream fight? Frankly, it doesn't matter if you wanna. I wanna. So I'm going to do it. And I'm going to put my hand into this grab bag. And I'm going to pull out 2 numbers. Then I'm going to find the fighters for those matching numbers. And then I'm going to see what would happen if they fight. Because that's called a dream fight. We have numbers 24 and 54. So, number 24 and number 54. In the red corner, he is an iconic legend. He was a featherweight. One of the beginning origins of BJJ. Castillo, Gracie. And in the blue corner, light heavyweight, record of 25 and 10, Maurizio Shogun Hua. Hoo-ha! You know, I gotta say, I like that name. Shogun Hoo-ha! Every time I say that name, my toes curl, my nipples get hard, because that is a cool name. Now look, Maurizio is just towering over him. But, honestly, I think Castillo would take, Shogun down, crab over his back, because he couldn't stop him taking his back, and lock in a rear naked choke, and suffocate the SOB until he taps out. Just like that. He'd have to tap. So that's my dream fight for the week. Now, let's slide over to Build-A-Fighter. Now, I took Gegard Mousasi's vision. I took Andre Harrison's ears. And now let's go with a fighter's nose. And I'm going to go out on a limb here. Someone that you would never expect. I'm taking Emily Ducote's nose. First of all, she has a cute nose. So I'm taking it for that reason. But she has a nose. She has this sense that she can smell fear in a fighter, in one of her opponents. And that is why I am adding Emily Ducote's nose to my imaginary fighter. Who will I choose next? I don't know. You're just going to have to listen to the very next show. Okay, so now, I'm not going to do, my pound for pound 15. I'm going to shrink it. I'm going to give you the creme de la creme. because the cream always rises to the top. So I'm going to give you my pound for pound top 10. Only 10 is what I'm going to give you for my pound for pound list. And it's not an official list. It's mine, although I believe mine is official. At number 10, I have the Count, Michael Bisping. Number 9 is where I believe blessed Max Holloway belongs. Number 7 on my pound for pound list is No Love. I give him love. At number 7, Cody Garbrandt. Coming in at number 6 on my top 10 pound for pound list, Tyron Woodley. I just feel that that's a perfect spot for him. I really do. Number 5, I pulled him up because last show I didn't have him ranked. He's impressed me. Number 5 is Mr. Ferguson. Number 4, Stipe Miocic. At number 3, still I have DC. DC, I think, DC's so, it's always like 1A, 1B, 1C when you get to the top like that. But I have DC number 3. Number 2, and I'm like the only person that puts this fighter at number 2 in the pound for pound list, Joanna Jędrzejczyk. I think if she was like a 6'5" guy, would be one of the best ever. And quite frankly, she is one of the best ever. She's freaking great. She's an unstoppable typhoon. Because I'm a Cyclone, she can't be. But Joanna Jędrzejczyk, Joanna champion. I come to Florida to train at ATT. She is number 2 in my pound for pound top 10 list. And number 1, drum roll, DJ Demetrius Mighty Mouse Mighty Johnson. You can't knock him off that top. You can't knock him off number 1. You just can't. And that's even if, quite frankly, John Jones came back right now. If they reinstate John Jones right this second, DJ would still be number 1 as far as I'm concerned. Now, as far as my spotlight fighter is concerned, it's really not somebody that's I'm spotlighting to look at. I want to spotlight a fighter who just officially retired. Roger Gracie. Yes, there goes once again, it seems to be from Neiman Gracie to Gastelum Gracie to now Roger Gracie. It's a great Gracie day. All we needed now is like Allen and Gracie. Gracie and Allen, as they were called. But Roger Gracie officially retired. His last fight was back on May 16th, where he submitted Michael Pasternak, first round arm triangle. He retires with a record of 8-2. He had beaten Keith Carradine, but he lost to King Mo and Tim Kennedy. But let's remember him as one of the best BJJ artists ever. He is a 10-time IBJJF champion. He is a 3-time ADCC champion. As a matter of fact, before he retired, one championship offered him the opportunity to come in and fight for their middleweight championship. And he decided he'd rather retire because at that point in his life, he has more to lose than to gain. And what is he going to do now? He is walking away to spend time with the family. He's walking away to work on his own jiu-jitsu team. So I want to spotlight him and say that this is a guy who knows when to walk away. So props to him. Because you don't really see fighters knowing when to walk away. A lot of guys, in all sports for that matter, just hang on. This day in MMA history, very, very special day. In 2014 was Bellator 130, where Marlos Cohn rear naked choked in the third round Annalisa Bucci. Then in 2015, Fight Night Dublin, Luis Smoka rear naked choked Paddy Holohan in the second round. Neil Seery guillotined John Reyes in the second round. That was this day in MMA history. And let's not forget there's some birthdays today. James Gallagher in 1996. Little James Gallagher was born. In 1991, Kevin Gastelum was born today. And in 1994, the man who loves the ganja, he loves to smoke the blunts. Sugar Sean O'Malley was born in 1994 today. So happy birthday, guys. Now, it's a Facebook question time. Everyone's favorite. Judge, my dear friend Judge, my producer Judge. Pick a number between 1 and 4. Okay. Number 1. Wow, Brandon May. Congratulations. Today is your day, Mr. May. Brandon May. Your question, is Till the real deal or still hype? Well, look, like I said earlier, I think he can be the real deal. The guy's huge, and he's probably going to, like he himself has said, have to go up to light heavyweight. Okay, he's going to have to skip over middleweight because he's a huge welterweight. He's going to have to skip over middleweight and just go right into light heavyweight. But that's as his body grows. I believe he's like only 24 right now. So he has time. He's going to do a lot of damage in the welterweight division. Now, is he going to be able to beat someone like a Tyron Woodley? I don't know. Is he going to be able to beat someone like a Stephen Thompson? I don't know. But this guy likes to throw hands. And he's going to be heard from. So, I personally, to answer your question the long way, I personally think he's one of those guys that are the real deal. He is part of that next wave that sticks. That will be the next superstars of the company. So, Mr. May, once I get home from work today, Mr. May, I will hit you up on the computer bay. See, that's just a bad rhyme right there. But, Mr. Brandon May, I will be reaching out to you, and I will be sending you a prize shortly. So, I want to remind everyone, once again, pretty please, I'm begging you, hit me up on Twitter, please. It's CYCIE19. In the Cage with Cyclone on Facebook. Click like. The Cyclone Variety Show on Facebook. Click like. It's two very simple things you got to do. Go to CycloneComedy.com. Buy a gift for somebody you really care about. I have pens, t-shirts, hats, bags. You name it, I got it. Check it all out on CycloneComedy.com. And then read everything I write on BoneheadPicks.com. Just go to MMA section and read along. Now, before we leave, I want to give a big, huge, monstrous congratulations to Juliana Pena, the Venezuela vixen, because she's pregnant. She's expecting child. So I want to say mazel tov. Congratulations to you. Okay. Now, I know Amanda Nunes is probably happy that it's one less tough challenge she's going to have to deal with for the time being. But I'm sure she'll come back maybe 18 to 24 months from now. But congratulations. May you have a healthy baby. A happy baby. Congratulations, Miss Venezuela Vixen. Now, just to let you all know, the next time you guys can hear me is November 14th. The 14th day of November. From 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. I will be live. And you will hopefully be listening. And as I always say, just because you're not an athlete does not mean you cannot be an athletic supporter.